Of Tetris about how that game became an unlikely cultural phenomenon.
First, he covered every day of Mayor Lori Lightfoot's term. Chicago Tribune investigative reporter Gregory Royal Pratt covered every day, again, of the term. She was the 56th mayor of Chicago from 2019 until 2023, and he had a close-up view as Lightfoot dealt with challenges on many fronts: a confrontational teachers union, crime, and the COVID pandemic, just name quite a few of those things.
His book is now in paperback. It's called The City is Up for Grabs: How Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot Led and Lost a City in Crisis. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You know, when you think Lori Lightfoot, the first thing that jumps out to me is, on the one hand, she was incredibly defensive for someone who's supposed to be a politician. On the other hand, she's doing these bizarre, whimsical public relations stunts. They just didn't seem to go together. What was she like, and how do you explain this odd dynamic of Lori Lightfoot?
Well, you know, she's one of the smartest people I've ever met. She's an absolutely brilliant person, but she doesn't have the people and leadership skills, and so she didn't know how to delegate. She didn't know how to work with people, and she got stuck on a lot of the personality conflicts sometimes. But there were things where, you know, she would say, "I'm the very serious mayor," and then she did the Halloween costume stunt with Dr. Arwady, which was pretty silly. And so she really struggled to understand what it means to be the mayor.
We're certainly no stranger to strong personalities in that office. You had Daley, you had Rahm Emanuel, and then you had Lightfoot. What was different about her leadership style? Because in some ways I felt that she came in and said, you know, I maybe want to emulate their method of navigating City Hall, but it didn't work for whatever reason. So how was she different from them?
Well, I think there's a big misunderstanding about, say, Rahm Emanuel, who can be a very big jerk. And if he was here, he would say, I can be a very big jerk for a purpose. But he could also work with people, and he would kiss up to the aldermen and talk to them and text them and call them and say, what do you need from me? What's going on? What's happening in your community? And Mayor Lightfoot considered that kind of a bother of, I don't want to talk to this dope about his dopey issues. But that's the whole job. So, you know, Rahm could be a jerk, but he also has those attention to the relationships, and she really neglected those relationships.
What does it say about her that she has done no interviews about her legacy? What is it that she is concerned about saying? You think she'd be out there, maybe try and put a good spin on it? Yeah,
you know, Mayor Lightfoot, and this is part of why she ended up being a one-termer, is she's so defensive and so caught up on not explaining her story and saying, well, these guys are going to be unfair to me anyway, that it really hurt her. It's just an act of self-sabotage. And so I think that that really does reflect that. I mean, I know she's working on her own book, which probably won't be as good as mine, but I will read, and I will find it very interesting. And I hope that she can be candid about a lot of stuff, because she was mayor, and part of why I wrote my book is she was mayor during a critical time for the city. And so I hope that she's a little bit more honest and reflective about that too.
I'm curious now, being in City Hall and watching Brandon Johnson and some of the successes and some of the mistakes that he's made, do you feel that he had looked at her term and it decided, you know, how he was going to navigate City Hall, or do you feel like he's making some of the same missteps that she made?
I think that, you know, they're polar opposites. You know, he's very relaxed, very left-wing. She's a centrist politician. It's always funny when she gets mad at Rahm, because they have the same politics. They don't like each other, but they have the same politics. But where he falls into the same trap that she does sometimes is very defensive, and no accountability. And, you know, when you critique them or ask them a question, very often they revert to racism, which there's real racism in the city of Chicago and in the world we live in. But people want their mayor to have some accountability and not to deflect and to accuse their critics and questioners of being racist every day. So that is a real. I'm not saying he doesn't experience racism, because he does, but people don't want to hear that every day about everything, and that's a problem that she had and that he has.
You mentioned Rahm Emanuel, and there have been hints that he is running for something, and you know the knock on him always, as you say, like, he knows he can be a jerk, and that's not really a profile of a national politician, but maybe the climate's right for that right now. Your thoughts on that?
You know, one of the
especially on the national scene.
You know, one of the things that is beautiful and terrible about politics is that you can't really predict it. Things are always changing. You know, how you go from a from a Bill Clinton to a George W. Bush to a Barack Obama to a Donald Trump to a loud old guy to a quiet old guy back to the loud old guy.
Yeah.
And so I would never write off like Rahm Emanuel, who's very smart, very, very energetic, very capable. Got a lot of issues just like any other politician, but the climate is always changing.
I'm curious, you wrote about this in your book too, and so many people have heard about this, the comment that she made about this big swinging D. And you know, there was a couple like very interesting statements that had been made in City Hall that came out that were leaked to the press. How does she feel betrayed by many of her staffers when these things came out and that were leaked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's and with some justification, you know, I mean, I love it when people leak stuff to me. I understand why the people that's being leaked about doesn't like it.
Right.
I think that, I think it was, I know that was something that she's talked about that, about feeling that people didn't stand by her and things of that sort. And, you know, some of those people would say that she didn't necessarily show loyalty back to them. But it is one of those things. I tell the story, there's the office time email that she famously sent where she told somebody, I need office time every day. And she copy and pasted it like 16 times. I compare it to The Shining, all work and no play.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from somebody right after she sent it, and they said, you need the FOIA for this email. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Because you can't really treat people that way and expect them to respect you.
Yeah.
And so you ran into her after the book came out, the hardcover book came out. Did she say anything to you when you saw her?
The last time I saw her, I said hello and waved, and she bit her lip and looked the other way, which I think is unfortunate because I have a lot of respect for Mayor Lightfoot, and a lot of people read my book and say they like her better, which she wouldn't feel that way. I don't sugarcoat the downsides and the downfall, but it's not a quote unquote hit piece.
Yeah.
The book is The City is Up for Grabs. Who's next? Who's looking to grab it next?
We'll see. This next election cycle is going to be nuts, and we'll see if there's a Brandon Johnson sequel down the road.
Yeah.
All right.
Greg, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you,
Greg.
Appreciate it.
Time for On Time.